Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another round of Canadian immigration Q&As. Today, it's all about express entry, and it's great to be here. I am broadcasting out from our family's cabin here in rural Alberta. It's great to have you. I was away last week catching some nice bass down in Montana. Although we were supposed to go to drift with our family down Koocanusa River, which is in British Columbia, which is a beautiful, beautiful river, just so picturesque. And unfortunately, the wildfires unraveled those plans. And we were going to do a multi-day drift where we float down the river, camp on the shore, then float down further. And unfortunately, that didn't happen, but that's okay. But yeah, the global warming is a thing, isn't it, you guys? And so the fires, unfortunately, are somewhat of a problem here in Canada, as you've seen. And we just hope and pray for the safety of all the firefighters and those who are tackling those blazes all over the country. I'm grateful to be back answering questions. There's been a lot of things going on, hasn't there? Even in the short period of time that I was away last week, we weren't able to do the live Q&As. Alicia's away tomorrow, but I'm going to have Igor join me at noon tomorrow for another Q&A. That'll be our Canada Immigration Q&A. So the questions that we have for today, we're focusing really on express entry as much as possible, but I'll probably answer any questions that you guys have as well about other areas of immigration. All right, so I'm just going to zip out this right here, and let's do some shout outs, and let's see who's here. Okay, let's see who's here. No, not Minister Miller. He's not here. He might pop in. He may pop in. Okay, we've got Daniela. Oh, let's adjust this. We're going to adjust our comments so that everybody can see them. There we go. We'll get that all lined up nice. Okay, Daniela says, hey, Mark, hope you're doing well. Greetings all the way from Dominican Republic of Congo. Wonderful. Thank you so much for connecting in. And we'll get to the questions in just a second. Okay, Prabji says, hey, Mark, thanks for sharing such a wonderful information with all of us. I'm Manpreet. Oh, Manpreet from Punjab. I admire you very much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, bonjour, Amara. Good to see you here. And Marco says, hey, Mark, have been a while. So many things happening. Trades draw, express entry draw. We missed you. Yes, I know. And that's what we're going to look at here in just a second, Marco, as well. Oh, hello. IRB Fox. Hello from Bree. It's so good to see you from Halifax. Still tuning in. Book your consult, guys, and complete your application with theirs. Have a great day, Mark. Oh, Bree, I am so happy. I love when past clients and those who've taken the express entry course connect in. Oh, boy, just so cool, so awesome. I just love it. And Amara is over in Ivory Coast. Amara, my good friend Scott Anderson, he served his mission for our church in the Ivory Coast, and he learned to speak French there. That was many years ago. I think that was probably in the early, when would it have been when Scott served? I think like 2000 maybe, 2001, right around that period. But he's back in Lethbridge now, married to a wonderful girl from Italy. And yes, they've got 3 children, I think 4 children. So yeah, he spent minutes up and down the roads in Ivory Coast. So cool, Amara. Henry, good to see you from Nigeria. We've got a great African representation today. Great. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Casey says, hey, Mark, I got an ITA and was looking to retain your services for help. I've sent an email to you waiting for a reply. Casey, we will get on that immediately. Absolutely. That's so exciting. I am so happy for you. Wow. All right. We're definitely going to get over and look at the rounds of invitations for sure, you guys. We're going to decipher those and see what we can come up. Don't hesitate to post your questions. I will go through and work through those questions as soon as I get through some of the shout outs. Excuse me. Anafi is Abu Dhabi. Great to have you. Thanks for connecting in. Let's see here. Daniela says, we really missed your update. So many things happening and it's overwhelming and everything is very unpredictable. It is. You know, I had a consult that I'll start off with a little story. So I had a consult with someone actually just immediately before jumping on the live stream here. And one of the things that we are seeing is more refusals, especially from India. You guys have seen what's happened. And the minister and the rounds of invitations, the no program specified draws. In fact, I think I posted on Instagram a video that I did just basically saying, well, where's the CECs? Like, what is being accomplished by having a round of invitations at 496 when the vast majority of international students don't have pathways forward? And it's really, really sad. And so what we're seeing is a mother who's here on a post-grad work permit, who's seen her child, her now 5-year-old child, get 3 previous TRV refusals to come and join her in Canada. And so what's the reality of this? Can you imagine how heartbreaking that is to be separated from your child for almost 2 years now, all because of the situation that we're in? Now, I can't speak to what was included in those applications when they were filed by overseas agents and a local immigration firm, consulting firm here, who I will point out indicated to the person that they were lawyers when they weren't. But it's so complicated and nothing is easy anymore. Nothing is. Immigration is constantly looking for reasons to refuse. And those who say, oh, it's so easy, you can do it yourself. Well, come spend one day with me. Just listen in to the consultations that I do. And you'll find out very quickly that, yeah, in how hard is it to fill out a form? It's not hard. How hard is it to fill out that form properly and include the documents in such a way that they're perfect? It's bloody hard. It's really, really difficult. And, you know, within the firm, it's part of the reason we don't use paralegals. We don't use assistants anymore. Us lawyers work directly with you who cares the most about your application. You control the process. You file through your own application, but we sit with you on a Zoom call and go through everything together. Lawyer, 20-year plus lawyer, Mark, yes, and you. That's our model. That's how we do our practice through Holthe Immigration Law. But, you know, because I know lots of people struggle with being able to pay fees, that's why I created the course, so that I could workshop as many people as possible, teach you how to fill things in, understand why a question is being asked. Not just, well, once you understand why, then you know what you actually need to put in there to satisfy the officer. So there's a whole strategy to it, and I absolutely love the way our firm represents people and the way we work with people. I would never, ever go back to the traditional way. Is it as profitable? No, it's not. I don't make nearly as much money now doing my practice this way as I did in the years when I had 7 paralegals working underneath me in a big regional and national firms. But I've completely done away with that because no one cares as much about your application as you, and I'm a close second. And when I add in a person in between who, you know, it's just their job, well, you know what it's like. The immigration officers, it's just their job. It's not personal. They don't really care. They're just trying to move. It's like moving the sewer to them, you know, keeping it pushing, keeping it going through. And individually, they just don't have time to care about you. So those are my thoughts early, but it just breaks my heart for this woman. So now we need to request, copies of everything that was submitted in the past, so that we can really assess what the reasons for refusal were, and then attempt to respond to them. But if the officer, you know, based on the information that was provided, you know, was reasonable in their decision, then there's not much that we can do. So tough times, you guys, and my heart goes out to you. And I guess this would be an appropriate time to pull the minister in, Minister Miller, and say, Minister, what are you going to do for the CECs? What is your plan? Like, what are your intentions for all of these? What are you, 100,000? I don't know how many international students don't have pathways to permanent residence right now that are stuck on these work permits that, man, Minister Fraser, okay, let's pull you. I think we still have you around. Oh, here's Minister Fraser, who's no longer immigration minister. Minister Fraser, I'm just going to take you, my friend, and I'm just going to move you around here, and I'm going to shrink you down, because actually you're not the minister anymore. This Minister Miller is. But Minister Fraser, right here, your wonderful plan of kicking the post-grad work permits down and giving another 18-month extension and another 18-month extension, what's your master plan? You've always, yes, you, Minister Fraser, you always indicated that students were top priority. Well, if that's the case, then what is your plan? Because, as a Canadian Bar Association, I was involved in a submission on some proposed pathways for international graduates who are on postgrads that would be separate and apart from express entry to create a pathway forward. But no. So I'm just really, really frustrated with, with Minister Fraser, and now Minister Miller, you're on the hot seat. What are you going to do? So we'll just see what they ultimately see if they respond. And actually, Minister Miller, I'd love for you to come join me on my live stream on my Immigration Nation and basically pick your brain on this. Like, what's your master plan? Because there's lots of people that are suffering. And as far as I'm concerned, and many people may not like to hear this, but my one solid recommendation is that you curtail the study permit process, that you reduce the number of study permits that are approved in the beginning so that the current students have an ability to get through. I should say the current post-grad workers who've sacrificed so much to be here, that they have a pathway forward. So reduce the number of international students. Don't grant as many study permits. And yes, if an individual is applying, then seriously consider the schools that you are authorizing to actually grant study permits for. There's a lot of schools out there that really are not producing high-level education that's going to allow an individual to actually get a job after. So why are we approving study permits for people to come to these schools when the quality of education is just subpar? So think of that, Minister. That's one of the things that I'll point out. All right. I know we've got a super that slid in here. So let's pull up our super here. This is from Marco. Let's get Marco super chat here. Is it possible to change a not code in express entry? No ITA yet, but this can affect in the future. Cabinet maker versus cabinet installer. I do both. Absolutely, 100% you can change your primary knock. In fact, if you do it correctly, there is a way to even correct it or change it between getting your ITA and filing your EAPR, that second stage, if the nomination or the invitation that you've received isn't a category-based draw. It is possible to change the knot code even after you get an ITA if you do it correctly, but it's not easy. But it is possible. But before you get your ITA, absolutely, Marco, you can just go in and change it right now. No harm, no foul, no issues. Nice sports reference. Oh, I love sports. I think you guys knew I was a big into track and field, and I was just looking today, that we've got an Olympics coming up again, don't we? What do we have here? Summer Olympics. Where's the next one coming up? Oh, man, I can't believe it's already here. 2024? Oh, of course. Let's see if we can share this here. Well, I got to adjust my screen here. This is a little bit close. When I jumped on here to set this up, I had a consult immediately before, so let's see if we can adjust my my screen here. Okay, that's a little bit better, isn't it? There we go. Now you guys can see me. So yes, Paris. Yes, 2024. Very, very cool. Very exciting. Let's see if we can get this adjusted. Why is that not lining up properly? I think it's because oh, that's right. Who knows? So many things I've got going on here. Let's see, is this the one? Nope, that's not the one. I gotta adjust this one more time here. Okay, and maybe right here we can just take this one and we'll just squeeze this in. There we go. Nice, fixed. It's all about looking pretty on the fly, you guys, on the fly. Okay, so once again, yeah, really excited myself to see the Olympics. Yes, yes. Oh, I can't wait. And Canada's got a great group of people. I actually went to, let's see if we can get this sorted out here. Oh man, this is really weird. I am having trouble lining up my, whatever, whatever. It's all a mess. I'm having trouble lining up my screen here to make this work. Let's see if we can adjust this a little bit more. I'm just a perfectionist here, and it's just driving me crazy. Okay, I'm just going to leave it. Enough's enough. So the Olympics are in Paris. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, in way back, if you guys can imagine, I'm 50 years old, and when I was a young lad back in 1992, I actually went to the Olympic trials, the precursor to the Barcelona Olympics in 1992. I went to Montreal and competed in high jump, and I was just a farm kid. I didn't train professionally. I had some jumping ability, but I actually met the Olympic standard to be able to go. And so you can't send an athlete to the Olympics unless they meet the minimum standard. So for high jump, you had to have jumped, I think, 2 meters, 5 centimeters, 205. I was about 180 centimeters, so I was about 25 centimeters over my head at the time. Probably still 25 centimeters over my head, but I love to high jump, and so yeah, preparation for. I was able to fly to Montreal and compete in the Olympic trials in Montreal for Barcelona. For Barcelona. It was Spain that year, and so I have a keen love of the Olympics. Oh, I just love it. So, okay, little digression there. Bear with me as I'm having some fun, nostalgia, remembering the good old days. Now what I'm trying to do is to lose all this extra weight I've put on through COVID. That is a challenge. And I need to go see the doctor because I got something in my stomach here that's doing weird things to me. I don't know what it is. It's kind of a lump. Anyone ever had a lump in your stomach before? Yeah, I'm hoping it's nothing too serious, but I'll keep you posted. All right, let's see what is next here. Okay, Daniela, we'll jump back to your question. When asked for the police clearance, must I put the police clearance of all the countries that I've been in the past or only the most recent ones? And what is the validity of a police clearance? Okay, so Daniela, if you're going through Express Entry, they want police clearance certificates for every country that you've lived continuously in for 6 months in the past 10 years and after you turned 18. So when you're an adult for 6 months in a row, throughout the past 10 years. That's the police clearances that you are to provide. If you are in the country currently where you are obtaining the police clearance, they're valid for 6 months. If you've left that country and obtained a police clearance for the country after you've already left, then they don't really expire because you've never been back since it was issued. If you were in the country for 1 day, the same day you got your police clearance certificate and then left, it's only going to be valid for 6 months. So you need to request a new one. Okay, let's see what else we have here. I think it's probably time to just shift over. We answered a little question. I'm going to shift over here, and we're going to take a look at this. So we have had some rounds of invitations, haven't we? Yes, we have. So let's see what we got here in our lovely Express Entry tickle box here. That's an old reference to a children's program I used to watch as a kid, Mr. Dressup. He had this tickle trunk, I guess is what it was called. You'd have to be really old and be from Canada to remember Mr. Dressup. But anyways, that's what we had to watch for TV, you guys. So anyways, let's see what we've got here. So as we scroll down, you can see, and today I haven't seen, I'll just refresh this page just to see perchance if we've got another round of invitation today. And oh, that's interesting. Oh, there it is. It hasn't loaded up yet. It was stalled out there. Okay, so you can see yesterday, August the 15th, we had a no program specified draw, 4,300 people. Another big one, 496. All right. Well, you can see what happens when they do larger numbers. So 496 is what it came down to, but my goodness, like this is so high. CEC, international grads who are working on postgrads, very rarely are they going to be able to hit this level. It's going to be tough. All right, so then if we scroll down and we look at the previous rounds, we've also had some more targeted draws. You can see trade occupations. We had one of those. Another French language. Man, they're like going crazy with the French. And then the day before that, no program specified. So you can see there was a 2,000, no program specified. When it's a small number, it was all the way up to 517. Then, and the reason really that it was that long is because if you go back to the previous no program specified, it was a long time, like over 3 weeks, and they only did 800. And it was 505, and then a whole bunch more people piled in. Then on August the 1st, 517 for the no program specified. You can see the French is still low because there just isn't as many candidates that are coming in that have the French language ability. They're definitely sucking everybody out that has French. And then we had our first trade occupations, which is quite large. Like when you think about in the past, they would only do 500, maybe 2 500 draws, maybe 3. Well, this is, when it was a federal skilled trade draw, they don't, for whatever reason, have decided they're not doing those. But these, and I think probably because most people really struggled to meet the eligibility requirements for the federal skilled trade program. And this way they don't have to. It's a little bit simpler. You just need experience in that trade. So you can see how low, just because most trade level people don't have bachelor's degrees and don't always score the highest in language. And so this is just a reflection of that. That's why it went down to 388. And you can see also with the French, if we drop down to the French, when they did the big French draw, it also pulled down because there just isn't as many candidates, right? And that's the reality. Anytime that there is basically a category specific draw, you can see that the scores are going to be lower. All right, and then of course, once again, like I said, when you do a big draw like that, of necessity, it's gonna pull more people. Let's go back and just take a quick peek here as well. You can see. It's taking its time to load up here. It'll load. Come on, load up. There it is. That's really interesting that it's a little bit slow. Okay, so you can see here, over 500, 2,172, but my goodness, see here, they pulled 2,709 or 491 and above. That was what was in the pool at the time in which they did the round of invitations yesterday. So yeah, it's super competitive, and yeah, it's interesting to see how this all plays out. So 2,709 here, 2,172 here, 984. All of these were pulled out. So there's still some hanging out here, obviously, but actually this number isn't as high as in this pool because we've seen so many rounds of invitations that have been happening lately. Now, I do want to point out one other thing. I'm going to go to our firm website. If you guys have not gone to the firm website, you have to do that because here there's a ton of other resources that are available. So when you go to our About Us, you'll see that we have, our blogs and resources, you'll see that we have our blog post. And one of the things, those of you who are working or employers who are watching the channel, you will see here, man, this is driving me crazy. This is absolutely driving me crazy, you guys. Okay, I'm going to adjust this because this, I want this to actually cover everything, and it's not cooperating with me. I hate the fact, why the heck is this not? Oh, we're just about there. Come on, you stupid thing. Oh, it's one of those days, you guys. Oh, I just want it to fill in. That's all I want, is it for it to fill in. Okay. All right, now we've got the subscribe to our newsletter that is also monkeying here. There we go. We'll drop that down. Hey, what's going on? I think I fixed it. I think I now have my screen proper. All right, let's do this. Let's slide over here. Oh, there we go. Isn't that pretty? Now I can adjust me here. Okay, we're back. Hooray. Okay. So you can see in our blog post, Igor just did the recognized employer pilot. And this is something that the government it's long overdue, which basically means it's kind of like a preferred employer, like a trusted employer program. And you definitely want to check out that blog post. And then before that, we also covered another one for Ukrainian family members. We know this is coming, this program. So anytime there's an announcement, this is my response to Mark Miller, Minister Miller, on the problems with H1B work permit. But whatever, we'll leave those as they are. Okay, let's jump back to some more questions. We'll keep zipping through. And let's see here. Gurjant says, how long would it get to biometric instruction letter? I applied for CEC on July 16th. The biometric instruction letter, if it's required, Gurjant, usually comes fairly quickly. That's that's all that I can say in the circumstances. Okay, let's see. Just gonna pull up the next question here. Okay. All right. Subhadeep says, is there any chance that STEM NOC C will be modified? For example, NOC 130, not part of the STEM, but in demand in a few provinces. It won't happen this year. So the minister, at least the previous minister, this guy right here, said that they were not going to be monkeying with these for the year because they need to actually get data so then they can determine and report on how well it went. So I don't anticipate any changes happening with these category-based draws until probably 2024. Okay, and let's see here. Abrian says, should the reference letter include my full name as it appears on my passport, last name followed by first name? It should include your full name. Ultimately, middle names are maybe not required, but first and last name for sure, it should do that. Does it have to be exactly as it is in your passport? No, it doesn't have to be include your middle names, but definitely your first and last name. Okay, and then you've got a follow-up here. Says, in the U.S., I present myself with the first name followed by the last name. So should I specify my last name and first name, or first name and last name? Most letters, reference letters, we typically see have the person's first name and then their last name. As long as you've got them both in there, you're going to be fine. Okay, Solomon says, how have you been? I'm doing fantastic, Solomon. I want to inquire if a deed of gift is acceptable for a Manitoba PNP ITA for showing source of funds. When it comes to funds with the provinces, each province has their own rules. And this is where I would direct you back to my good colleague, Alistair Clark. And I'm going to pull up Alistair right now. I'm going to pull it up right now and give Alistair a shout out here. Okay, here, Alistair probably doesn't even know I'm giving him a shout out, but that's how I roll. So this is Clark Immigration. So Alistair is, and he's been on my podcast. He's been on my Immigration Nation. He's been on a whole bunch of things. And so, yeah, go check out Alistair here. He actually appeared at the Standing Committee on Immigration with me through the pandemic, talking about the effects of COVID and the pandemic on immigration. Go check out Alistair in Manitoba. He's a great lawyer out there, and he would be able to answer that question, Solomon. Okay, Ajinkya says, hey, Mark, what's the chance for NOC 21221? Hey, it's skilled, okay? I know it's a tier 1 there. There shouldn't be an issue with qualifying through express entry. Is it going to be on a targeted draw? Is it going to be something that provinces want? That, my friend, is outside of my pay grade. I can't answer that one, but you are eligible. It's a skilled position. Okay. Okay. Akinlolu says, hello, can I modify my profile to accommodate my wife after I've received the 600 points from the PNP? That, my friend, requires one of these. Let's see if I even have it. I'm just going to pull this up. Oh, here we go. I've got it right here. That is an indication that you need to slide over and book a consult with our firm. I'm actually going to pull this up. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. There we go. That's better. Click on here, speak to a lawyer, and then book a consult with myself, Alicia, or Igor, and we can answer any questions that you have. So I recommend that you check that out. Okay, let's see. Next, super. Okay, VK says, character saying you rock whilst showing their pumped bicep. This is so funny. This is where the system that I have for doing my my broadcasting, my live streaming, doesn't translate emojis very well. And so I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause this and I'm going to see if I can figure out. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm going to share it. VK, it is so awesome. There we go. There's boss. You guys make this so much fun for me. I just love this. I absolutely love it. This is so cool. So cool. And you can see there's a lot of questions and we're working through it, you guys. So we got Marco's, the super chats there. And so we've covered those. So VK, thank you so much. That's very, very kind. You guys are awesome. Oh, it's so much fun. So much fun. Okay, let's keep zipping through here and let's see. We'll get to some more questions. Let's see here. Okay, Swathi says, hey Mark, if I get an LMIA job offer from Quebec, will that be counted towards my CRS score 50 points immediately after I receive the letter, or will I be eligible only for Quebec skilled path? So Swathi, the biggest issue with that is that you have to demonstrate an intention to reside outside the province of Quebec. And when you have a job offer to work in Quebec, it actually undermines that ability to demonstrate that intention. So as far as whether or not you get the 50 points, the real question is, how are you going to be able to demonstrate an intention to reside outside Quebec if you have a job offer to work for them when you become a permanent resident? It undermines it. So your application would get rejected no matter how many points you have if literally your intention was to live in Quebec. So Quebec immigration paths are really the direction that I would direct people to. And I will give, and that's a good segue as well. I'm just going to pull up another one of my favorite law firms, and this one is in Quebec. So any Quebec-based immigration questions is this firm right here, Goldberg Dolphin, who is full of some amazing lawyers, and I've got other good colleagues and friends in Quebec as well, but we'll give them a shout out. So Goldberg Dolphin is a great firm, and if we pull up their lawyers, I had the privilege of working with, well, I've known Avi and Seth for a long time, and Genevieve and Lisa, and even I met Kathleen recently, but Lisa is the current national chair of the Canadian Bar Association. She's a wonderful lawyer, but all these guys are. So this is the firm that I direct people to in Quebec, as well as I have some other lawyers as well that are excellent. Yeah, like David Chalk, some other friends out in Quebec. So yes, if you're looking for assistance there, that's the direction. To whom should the reference letter be addressed to? I don't know. It really doesn't. Well, I do know. It doesn't matter. IDRM. My poor daughter sending me text messages here while I've got the live stream going. Okay, so with respect to the reference, it doesn't matter. It can be immigration officer. It can be IRCC. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be any formal thing. Yeah, it's just not something that's really a big deal. Okay. Okay, Casey says, can we count stat pay towards CEC working hours? This is the issue. Did you work those hours? So the reality is, for statutory holidays or vacation, Casey, it's more a question of, are you continuously employed, right? So if you're working through, when it comes to meeting the 30 hours a week, Casey, this is one of the issues that's really tricky, and we'll cover that. We'll address that when we go through your application. I know you've said that you've indicated that you sent an email, and we'll definitely get you set up. But we can cover that. But what it comes down to is, holistically, they know that people are going to have statutory vacation and holidays and time off, and so for those, and so generally it's not going to be an issue. But as far as getting down to the minutia of, okay, because I have that day off, I'm not hitting my 30 hours a week. Well, usually that's not going to be an issue in the context of a CEC application, but we'll go through it and we'll assess it together. Okay, Casey? Let's see what's next. Okay, this one's from Sam. It says, Mark, per IRCC after September 1st, 23, if students spent time outside Canada, those numbers of days will be deducted from post-grad. My wife wants to travel to India for 3 weeks. Would that be an issue? Anytime we have questions like that, I always ring the bell and direct people to slide over right here and book a consult with us, because I'll never want, that's specific legal advice, and I never will give that in the context of these live streams. So general information, happy to provide it, but should your wife travel, book a consult, Sam, with myself or Igor or Alicia. Okay. Okay, here's an interesting question. Ibrahim says, a letter of recommendation from a professor, is that beneficial for express entry application? Well, it doesn't really add anything, a recommendation letter. And that's something it makes sense to talk about this. So many people feel like if they have periods of unemployment or, there's gaps in their work history for whatever reason, that somehow immigration officers are going to not like them as good as a candidate. Guys, that stuff is irrelevant. If you meet the minimum eligibility requirements for the economic program you're applying through, if you can demonstrate that you have the work experience, the education, the language abilities, all those things for your human capital, for your comprehensive ranking system score, if you meet all those, then none of that other stuff is relevant. Only so much as disclosing accurately what you've been doing. They want to see exactly what you've been doing, but it bears no impact on your application. All right. Okay. Hey, EJ. He says, hi, I'm watching from Riyadh. Oh, thank you so much for tuning in. Great to have you here. Okay. Oh, this is great. Okay. Ibrahim, how can I verify if someone claims to be an immigration lawyer rather than an immigration consultant? Okay. So I dealt with this right before I started the live. The client said, I applied through, and I feel like pulling the firm up, but I'm not going to. They said, I used an immigration lawyer to help me. They told me that they were an immigration lawyer, but the reality is they weren't. They're an immigration consultant. And I don't know why people feel the need to make that distinction. Like, why, if you're an immigration consultant, then you should be proud of that. That's what you do. But to claim that you're something that you're not, that really irritates me. But in your situation, every immigration lawyer in Canada can be verified through the province in which they live. So you can pull up and you can find anyone. And this is an important distinction sometimes, because when it comes to mistakes on an application or problems that people have with a representative, the bar associations have a whole lot more teeth to actually go after the lawyers than the consultant association. Even though the Liberal government has propped up once again the immigration consultants, the reality is there's very little meaningful recourse for someone who's been represented poorly by an immigration consultant. If it's a lawyer, things happen when you make the complaints. So I'll go here. So you guys know that I'm in Alberta. So I can pull up the Law Society of Alberta, and then here, find a lawyer, and you can see they have complaints that you can file a complaint if you want. But as far as finding a lawyer, you can click on here, Lawyer Directory. So we'll pull this up, okay? And then all you have to do is type in the last name. I think there's probably just me and Chase, my second cousin. He's a lawyer in Calgary. It's probably just the two of us here, but let's pull this up and let's see. We'll search and see what comes up. See if I'm a practicing lawyer in Alberta. Hey, I am. Hey, there's Chase. Yep. Okay. So you can see here, Mark Holthe, City Calgary, male, practicing, 2005 Holthe Immigration Law. Our law firm is based in Calgary. So the main office is in Calgary now, not Lethbridge. So I work technically out of Calgary, and I've been going since 2005, and Chase has been going since 2012. He works at Norton Rose. So there you go. So you can see it's easily, you can find me. I am a lawyer. When it comes to consultants, let's see here. Let's just pull up. So this is the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants. And when you go to this site here, you can also search for the person's name. So verify your immigration consultant right here. So you can type it in here, and okay, so I'll take one of my past employees. Let's see if we can find her. So I'll put in here, let's go with Lethbridge. I don't know, actually no, she's probably in Coaldale. So if I type in the city, and then we'll put the province in here as well. And let's see if we can, let's see if she's maintained her registration. I think she has. So Angela was a previous paralegal who worked within my office, and she had her consultant certification. I'm trying to search it. No results found. Okay, then let's go with Lethbridge. Let's see how many we have in Lethbridge here. Wow, that's weird. Okay. How is that possible that we only have so these are S's are international students they work in universities, and so we've got Cheryl Mahedon who's here. That's so weird. That is so weird that I can't even pull up anyone else in Lethbridge. Anyways, but if you know the person's name, you can search for it too. Okay, there we go. I just had to get rid of Alberta. Apparently, people don't live in Alberta. Okay, look at this. Is what's so crazy. Look at how many consultants. Okay, so Billy was a former employee. Let's see who else here. Okay, sorry, I'm growling. I shouldn't growl. And then Domingo worked a month in my office to get his certification. It looks like Angela isn't here. I don't know where she is. Anyway, so that's the list of consultants. So there you go. I know I spent way more time answering that question, but that's how you do it. Okay. Let's see what is next. Okay, Imagine Magician. Hey, excellent. Received my passport with H1B, open work permit stamp on it, but it is multiple entry. But it does say the valid date is from this August to 2026. So we don't have much flexibility when to leave the U.S. That's correct. Yeah, it just depends. If they have short windows of time, then then you need to make sure that you are that you're traveling and actually getting the work permit. You can always turn around and go back, depending upon, your U.S. Visa, your stamp for your H1B, if you can leave and re-enter. But yeah, so congratulations. That's great. Congratulations. Oh, look at this. Nash also says, I got my H1B for 3 years. I haven't received any info regarding how to apply open work permit for spouse. I'd like to know if you have received any info regarding, not a word. I've heard nothing from them. And once again, this is one of the things that I brought up that I asked the minister in my blog post. And let me slide over here. This is one of the issues. Boy, I think I'm doing too much talking. Oh, the minister's in the way here. Give me a second, minister. There we go. I needed to get a drink there. Okay. So back here in my post right here, originally it was to Minister Fraser, but this one is to now Minister Miller. You can see these are my top 10 list of problems that I had with the H1B. Excuse me, no prior instructions, no guidelines, no clarity about the program launch time. Oh, now I've got the hiccups. Oh, how do you get rid of hiccups? Maybe I'll just pretend like I don't have them and just see if I can convince myself not to hiccup. Okay, instructions released hours after the launch of the program, conflicting info, portal was not properly tested, the cap would have been reached within hours, the choice to open the portal on a Sunday was problematic, no clear instructions on how to include dependents within the application. So this was number 8 on my list, and it has not been resolved. So we shall see, because there's nothing on the website. So if we pull this up, H1B, see if we can find it. These are the specific instructions. Let's see if there's anything. I think it was on the how to apply, wasn't it, you guys? Okay, that does not look to be the one I was looking for. Let's try again here. Let's try who can apply. I can't remember. It seems like, don't tell me those guys. Okay, here we go. Oh, it still doesn't give instructions. Nope. No instructions yet, guys. No instructions yet. Okay. Now, with that being said, and I think you remember, Nash, for my client, I figured out a way where we could include the everyone at the time in which we submitted. Oh, not Nanda says, thanks to all your videos on the H1B permit, I got mine approved in 9 days. Can I set up a business like franchise or purchase a small business in Canada with an H1B open work permit? Nanda, I recommend you book a consult and we can talk about that. I discourage people from doing that because if your ultimate goal is to become a permanent resident in Canada, you need Canadian work experience, and often, not always, but often self-employed work experience is not eligible. Okay, Marco says, did the work reference letters have an expiration time for express entry? My letters were issued 2 years ago. If they were issued after you left the company and they still meet all the requirements, then they don't have an expiry. If it's your current employment, then it's only going to be the work history that they're going to give you credit for is only until the date that the letter was signed. So, but yeah, if it was for past work that you're no longer working at and the letter was issued after you finished that work, then they don't really expire. Daniela says, when asked for a passport, must include all my old passports with all travel histories, or only the visa that I have in the most recent passport? It only asks for you to provide a copy of your most current recent passport, the one that's valid right now, as well as any stamped or marked pages. Any previous passports are not required in the context of express entry. Okay, here's a good question. Henry says, is the 10,000 H-1B visa part of the STEM 28 to 31% quota of 2023? If no, what's happening with STEM draws? Are we going to see a reasonable ST draw soon? P.S. I have missed you guys. Thanks, Henry. So I think with the recent rounds of layoffs and things, that's part of the reason why they haven't done rounds of invitations, at least for the STEM. Now it's tech, and so that might be one of the reasons they're holding off. Just the optics of it, I don't know. But really, it's hard because no one really knows what's going on in the mind of these ministers. We just don't. So we speculate, do what we can. And so what Minister Miller here is, no, this way, Minister Miller, this guy here, what he plans to do with this, it's a mystery. We just don't know. So, but clearly, I have to assume the reason they haven't done as many STEM draws is because of a little bit of a downturn, I guess, at least within IT. Okay. Okay, let's pull up. Okay, Sujit says, whoever got H-1B, open work, are they, so this is actually Sujit asking somebody else. Are they having an H-1B visa stamp? I also applied, but I have costs from F1 to H-1B, first time without stamping. Yeah, so Sujit, there's no issues with this. I've never seen an issue with someone who didn't have the visa stamp on their H-1B not be eligible. Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. And then Image here. Image Magician says, Sujit, I heard there are applicants who don't have the stamping got approved. That's correct. That is true. Okay. I'm reluctant to pull this stuff up, okay? Because this definitely is not true, you guys. This is not true. Mark is the best immigration lawyer I never met. He guides you step by step on all your process or concerns. His knowledge is incredible. If you get a consultation, is a good investment for your future. OR, I really appreciate that vote of confidence, but I can guarantee I'm not the best immigration lawyer. But one thing I can guarantee is that there is no immigration lawyer out there that cares as much as I do about your success in your application. And then you add in a little bit of experience and obviously I have some level of intelligence to get through immigration and to, have my colleagues elect me to be the national chair of the CVA. But trust me, there are some amazing, amazing immigration lawyers out there in your area as well. And but thank you, OR. I really appreciate that. Okay, Daniela says, would you advise one person to put English or French as a first if they perform well in both? Is putting one as first language of the person is bilingual? It really doesn't make a huge difference, Daniela. Ultimately, you're going to get full credit for whichever. Now, obviously, your first official language, you want to have that one being your best, your top scores, right? but it doesn't make a huge difference. Also, when it comes to how they want to communicate with you, usually you'll put the language of communication the same as your whichever language has the top scores. Now, if you've maxed out with both, it really doesn't make a difference. Good question, Daniela. Varun says, hey Mark, does paid leave 2 months abroad count towards the foreign experience? Okay, so I've had lots of discussions with immigration, the officers about this. A vacation of 3 weeks where you're paid, usually that isn't an issue. But as you start to get up into 1 month, 2 months, even if it's paid, you're not performing the duties of the role. And it's possible an officer could choose to exclude that, but it's very discretionary. There's no hard and fast line. I personally, I try to avoid counting on that 2 months wherever possible as a part of it. Ultimately, foreign work experience is you need to demonstrate that you've been continuously employed, and if you have breaks in your work, then it can cause problems. Sometimes they'll treat Canadian work experience a little bit different and be a little bit kinder. When you're going through the CEC program, like if you go on a vacation and it's paid and then you come back. But 2 months, a paid leave, I think it's going to be a real challenge to get IRCC to accept that variant. But, if you really need it, then what you do is you make the pitch. You make the pitch. Prashant, I hear you. What is the current processing time for the federal startup visa program? Well, we can always pull this up. If we go IRCC, let's just pull it up here. Processing times. We go here. And then we go down here and we go to our economic immigration. The program, startup visas is right at the bottom. And you can see there right now indicating 37 months, last updated last week, essentially. So there you go. And I don't have any detailed information with any of the new recent changes. One thing I will point out here, if I can go back to, I'm going to go back to my main screen. I'm going to shrink this down again here. Interesting. Go back to my main page, and then I'm going to share with you my channel. Okay, so if we go back to the Canadian Immigration Institute, I want to point out here at the top, you can go to videos, you can go shorts, and you can go live. If you go to the lives, I can't remember if it was a live or if it was a recording. Maybe it wasn't a live. CELPIP strategies. I guess it was a recording. I can never remember. Videos. And if we scroll down here, you can see right here, Systemic Refusals, Warsaw Visa Office Self-Employed Program. So if you haven't watched this, I encourage you to watch this video here. This is a great example of how IRCC doesn't do things properly and doesn't do things fairly, and they can be quite petty, especially when a lawyer, and part of the reason sometimes they don't like us immigration lawyers is because we challenge them. And that's exactly what happened here. And I encourage you to watch this video. Yeah, it's really good talking about how a bunch of people were really treated unfairly, and the courts called immigration out on it, but yet they're still fighting and still making life difficult for all these candidates. So I recommend you go watch this video and check it out. Okay, a couple more questions we'll try to hit. I don't think we have any other supers that I need to hit. Oh, let's see. Okay, let's see. Oh, let's see. I got to make sure. It looks like maybe VK has another question here. Give me 1 second, and I'm gonna search for it. Make sure that we've got yours. Okay, let's see. Okay, so VK says, after submitting the work permit, including dependent applications outside Canada, how quickly biometric instruction letters received? Thank you. Yeah, it depends on the visa office, VK. It really does vary. So, so please check my question. Okay, I think this is the question here. Yes. So understand that like some countries like India, where the volume of applications is a lot higher, it's going to take longer for them to generate. and other countries are going to be less. Usually when any type of a temporary application, usually when things are working normally, you're going to get that within a week, the biometric instruction. It's like almost an automatic thing that gets spun out. But they've got such high volumes and backlogs with many overseas visa offices now. It's starting to affect when they release those biometric instructions. But normally it's as little as a week. All right. Okay, let's jump back in and get to some more here. Okay, Priyank says, I have finished an advanced diploma for 3 years in Canada. There's no such option on CRS score calculator, so did I choose bachelor's for 3 years or more from university or college option for my education? Possibly, Priyank. I'd need to know a little bit more about what this advanced diploma is. 3 years, usually any 3-year degree, usually it is 3. Let's just take a look here and see. Yeah, do you know what? It would be really tough, Priyank. I know what you're saying. You're not sure which one to put in there. In most cases, I would consider that to be 3 or more years, but I'd need to see the specific educational credential that you have, Priyank. Let's see. We're at the very end here. Thanks, Kate. She says, love your content. Let's see, is there anything else that we're missing? Okay, our suitcase life says, hey, thank you for your help on H1B open work permit. My pleasure. It was approved yesterday. Congratulations. What will the open work permit start date will be for me? The start date will be when you actually go to the border, whether you fly or drive into Canada to get your work permit activated. That will be the start date. Solomon, I see this all the time with big tech companies or software companies or just any institutional ones. Previous employer is not issuing reference letter due to its policies. I still got the offer letter, contract offer, and pay stubs. Can I show this with an LOE? If you do it correctly, sometimes we've had success with that. But boy, Solomon, I would fight and make sure that you've got clear evidence to show that they are refusing to give it to you. And then everything else that you got, you want to include. But man, why in the world would I work for any company that won't provide a reference letter? There's so many just sketchy ones out there. Hey, Wagner, good to see you too. Abrazos to you, amigo meo. Okay, let's see. Just trying to finish off a couple more questions here. Once again, I got my work permit approved. Just want to know when will the 3-year term start, date of issuance, or some other process. When the work permits come, it's the date that the work permit is issued. Whether you get it, if you apply inland and it's an extension, it's the date the officer issues the work permit. If you're flying, if it's you've got a approval letter from when you're overseas, then you take that and you get your work permit at the port of entry, and that's when the start is. Okay, and I'll finish off with this one. This is a great question. So Kumar says, hi Mark, I received an NOI from 2 provinces, Quebec and Ontario. Can I proceed with both the provinces and later accept any one nomination, or I should proceed only with one? Thanks. You're going to proceed with the one where you're actually going to live. Simple as that. Because when you apply to Quebec, you have to demonstrate an intention that you're going to reside in Quebec. If you apply through Ontario, you have to demonstrate that you're going to live in Ontario. And how can you submit an application and demonstrate both of those intentions at the same time? You can't. So that's cool that you've got options, but absolutely you're going to choose one, the one where you're actually going to live. Okay? All right, we will wrap this critter up right there. I want to thank all of you guys for connecting in on this Express Entry live Q&A. I'll be back tomorrow at noon with Igor, and we're going to have our Canada Immigration live Q&A, even though a lot of these questions are, Canadian-based, and they're not all just about Express Entry. But it's great to connect back with you. Congratulations to everybody that's received an ITA in these crazy rounds of invitations. Remember, as a firm, as a law firm, this is what we do all the time with our clients. We have a unique process that we really are committed to within the firm that we feel hands down is the best way of helping people with their applications over anything else. Is it the most profitable? No, because that's why most firms don't do it. but we're not in this exclusively for profits. Do I want to get paid and make money for my family? Absolutely, I do. But that is not the driving force behind our firm. Our firm is about helping people realize their dream of immigrating to Canada. So just a couple little updates that I want to share with you are probably right now we're into August. At the end of the month, I'm not sure if I'm actually going to do another, let's just see here. I'm just going to see if we have it posted. I can't remember if I did this yet or not. Let's see, what do we have here? Okay, we don't have it posted just yet, but remember, the Canadian Immigration Institute is the site that houses our courses, and the Express Entry course you can log in right now and register for the material. Same thing for the study permit course, spousal sponsorship. I'm working on the LMIA course. Remember, this is for high wage positions for work permits. The quit is now, this one is basically, we're finished this one, so we'll pull this one off. But you can see there's the courses that are available. I strongly encourage you, if you're going through the process, to subscribe to the course, attend the over 10 hours of master class of content, and then probably in well, we'll see. I think I probably will at the end of this month do another master class series. So stay tuned for that, but definitely subscribe, and this will help you to avoid the major problems that people run into, and really give you a solid foundation to get your application approved the first time. All right, and then as far as the firm goes, definitely check out About Us, our approach. Subscribe to the newsletter, yes, but we have we'll close that out. We have our direct lawyer to client collaboration. That's what I was talking about. And it all starts with a consultation. Just click on Speak to a Lawyer if you have specific concerns, challenges. And I want to thank everybody who's sending us just friends and colleagues, and and referring people to our firm. I think if I'm to go in and look at the source, obviously this YouTube channel is a big source of new clients for our firm, but referrals from other people who've had a good experience with us, and I'm really proud of the Google rating that we have, this 4.9, and yeah, it means a lot. And so I think we've had it up for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years now, I'm not sure, but yeah, these 130 reviews mean a lot to us. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks so much, and we will see you guys tomorrow at noon. Take care.